Hello, hi everybody. I am very happy that you are joining us this time again for another making of video with this series, the 50 Music Postcards. We continue to celebrate Mexico with a selection of fine songs. We are going to stop a little in a few minutes around this fine songs term because today it has a very particular meaning. And today I am also talking in the first person of plural. I am talking in we because this time I am very happy that Rafael Eguía is joining me for this postcard. By this time, I think you have already listened to the postcard that we are playing this week. He's the voice, he's the singer who is carrying us with those very strong emotions that this extraordinary Mexican song has by we are about to talk about the author, but let me go back for a couple of steps and let's greet Rafael. Hi Rafael, how are you? Thanks for joining us this time.
Hi everyone, how are you? How are you, Richard? Thanks for the invitation. I'm very proud and glad to be invited to this kind of cultural sessions that we're going to carry out. Thanks a lot for your time and for hearing us about
and
this
and
music trip.
it is indeed, and to start with, if you agree, I would like to talk a little more about yourself. Maybe to give the audience some background, I have known Rafael for already several years. Well, both of us are not that young anymore, but I think it is around something years already that
That's right.
we met. And for some reasons, even though we met when working for a given company, we had somehow the chance of discovering that each of us had this passion, this profound love for music and singing.
That's right.
And as you could hear in this week's postcard, Rafael is has been gifted with a very nice and musical voice.
Thank you,
You,
Richard.
you had a chance of listening it yourself, so I think I don't need to explain it any further. But Rafael, why don't you share with us how is it that you approach to singing? When was this love born? What does music feel? What does music mean for you?
Well, I think my first touch or the first sight loving, if could I say that meaning was with my father, because my father starting to teaching us the classical Mexican movies in the cinema, which we are talking about Pedro Infante, Jorge Negrete, Jose Alfredo Jimenez, obviously. In this case, Pedro Vargas, the biggest singers and actors in the gold cinema, in the gold Mexican cinema. And as you already know, in that time, in the early 40s and 50s, in the Mexican cinema, the music was fundamental in the movies. So I think this is my first sight or my first touch with music. Then I started to play the guitar with songs with Jorge Negrete, as I told you, Pedro Infante, son boleros, and then uh, go go further in different genders, in music genders. So then I started to sing in a classical chorus. I don't know if is that the meaning in English. Um, in a Catholic temple, and then we started. After this, we started to record Mexican music, um, but in a bass on orchestra, but with the same chorus. Um, and then obviously when I grow up, I start with another genders, music genders, rock, alternative, and so on. But my bases are specifically are were born in the Mexican music.
And what does music mean for you? I mean, I know that we all need to make something to earn money, working somewhere to earn money, but the love for music is something we always carry with us. So, what is music for you? How would you picture it in your life?
Well, the music in my life has been a great support in my feelings, in my soul, in my daily business, with my family, with my people, sorry, with my friends. uh, the music has been attached with me always, because as I say, since I was a kid, with my father, we used to sing to my mom or sing to our girlfriends at that time when we were young. And you learn all those stuffs uh, um, during your life. So the music is fundamental in my life. I've been doing this for more than 25 years, I think, not in a professional or as a professional or dedicated or earn money, as you said, or for earn money. I've been in music groups with several genders in parties. We say in here in Mexico, the famous quince años, or weddings as a wedding singer, and that kind of moments of the kind that events that I have been working on with the music. But at the end, as you know, I have another profession, but at the end, the music has been always attached to my life. So for me, it's fundamental because I need it. I need to sing it. I need to compose it. I need to write it. And even though I'm not a study guide or I was study, I'm not licensed in anything about music. But at the end, by hearing, by singing, I'm very attached to it, and it's I can tell you that it's part of my life 100%.
And I think your answer somehow opens the door to what we are about to talk today. This postcard is, as I shared before, El Jinete. You may have already watched it on YouTube.
Yeah,
And the composer is Jose Alfredo Jimenez, whose picture I'm about to put on the screen, because
that's
Jose
right.
Alfredo Jimenez is, and I told you as I was opening today, I was telling you that our series is called Celebrating Mexico with a selection of fine songs. And I have been sent some messages on what is it exactly that I mean by fine songs, because fine music is usually understood as music composed by people who have academic studies in music.
That's
And
right.
that
Yes.
is not what I meant. That is because I would have used by academic music instead of fine music. Because from my perspective, fine music is this music that somehow, because at least I'm not a composer, somehow these great composers manage to send the message to people and reach their feelings. We listen to this music that immediately makes us feel very happy. We
That's
have
right.
these stories of sadness that bring these memories back to us. And all these emotions are carried out in perfection by Mr. Jose Alfredo Jimenez. Jose Alfredo Jimenez, I really don't have as many adjectives as I would like to have, but maybe Rafael, if you could share us what is Jose Alfredo Jimenez for Mexico?
Well, as you know, it's kind of difficult to have the English description, because we are very used to talk about Jose Alfredo Jimenez in our language, in our own adjectives. And so sorry about my English, because it's not so good. For I'm gonna try to give you an answer about this. For Mexico, Jose Alfredo Jimenez, it's an icon. Definitively, it's an icon. Is We could say that it's the maybe the top two or top three of the best composers in Mexico. I could say in Latin America, because his songs uh, cross the boards in South America, in United States, obviously in Central America and Mexico. And there's another interpreters that um, has been performed some songs from this composer Jose Alfredo Jimenez, which has been uh, carried out to Europe and other countries. So Jose Alfredo Jimenez, it's a fact, is the best of the best composers in Mexico. We have a lot and a huge songs that from his own um, imagination and creativity, lyrics, and I could say that Jose Alfredo Jimenez, uh, about the lyrics, about the poetic in his lyrics, is a kind of genius, because he has the magic that the people or the Mexican people really feels inside of his soul, and deeper inside of his soul. So um, um, I think that between Jose Alfredo Jimenez, Juan Gabriel, and Agustin Lara are the top three best composers in Mexico, and obviously Jose Alfredo Jimenez is very important for our cultural Mexican music.
And what I also wanted to mention is that he's a perfect example of a very successful author. He also sang some of his songs, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a composer mainly, and he's the perfect example of a composer who never studied music.
That's right.
He couldn't read anything about what I'm going to call now academic music.
That's right. That's right.
He had no academic formation
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever, but
Mm-hmm.
if not all, most of his songs have always been a success. I know that because I was reading in his biography that he
Yeah.
was also supported by Ruben Fuentes, which we
Mm-hmm.
talked about
Mm-hmm.
Ruben Fuentes in a previous postcard, who in fact
Yes.
had an academic
It's a great
formation.
composer also. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
a very good composer, and he supported Jose Alfredo Jimenez in some of his compositions. But Jose Alfredo
Yeah,
Jimenez is an absolute genius from my perspective.
I
I mean,
agree.
to have no formation in music and to be able to compose so many wonderful songs and understand this deep understanding, as you already mentioned, this deep understanding of how human emotions are is
Yeah,
something that has no parallel.
that's right. Yes.
Yeah, so when we are very happy to share this week one of his many famous songs.
Yeah.
This song is called El Jinete, which I am about to put on the screen. The lyrics of it I was already sharing with Rafael. This is the name for. I know that our listeners or audience in YouTube do not speak Spanish. So El Jinete, I wanted to stop for a second because Jinete is in fact a person who rides a horse, so it is a rider.
That's right.
But
That's right.
we will not refer to the Jinete as a rider because once again, the translation to English is not very effective. The 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 meaning
It's more
of
than a rider. It's more
is
than a
more
rider.
than a rider for the Mexican culture, for the música ranchera, for the small towns, for everything that
It's a
Mexico.
symbol.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a lot more than just a rider. So we will
That's right.
keep talking or referring to him as El Jinete.
Mm-hmm.
There is something wrong, but you can blame it on Google because he's carrying out Miguel Aceves Mejia is the author. He's not the author. He's just one of the many singers that have sung
Yes.
this song. And before we jump into listening to part of the music and make some comments around the lyrics, tell us a little on how is it that you chose El Jinete? Does it carry a particular meaning for you, or why is it that you chose it?
Yeah, the meaning is because my father, his idol was Jorge Negrete. That's the first point. And as you know, Jorge Negrete sings El Jinete in, I think it was in the early 40s.
Another icon of
The,
the Mexican
that's
culture.
right.
Yes.
And the yeah, vernacular songs. And obviously, because I was following to my father's steps in the music, in the music. Uh, when I heard El Jinete in the interpretation or with the voice with Jorge Negrete, I was really impressed about his interpretation, his feelings, the manner that he managed the voice, I don't know how to say in English, the timbre, this pitch,
Mm-hmm.
classical pitch, very very particular pitch of Jorge Negrete. If you are not familiar to Jorge Negrete, I invite you to hear him because he is a very very great singer, and particularly for this kind of vernacular songs, for Mexican vernacular songs. And then after the years, I heard or I learned that Jose Alfredo Jimenez uh, composed, wrote this sing or these lyrics when he was only 16 years old. So he was a kid. So you can imagine what kind of creativity, what kind of genius we are talking about in this particularly song about the El Jinete. Because if you analyze phrase by phrase or step by step the lyric of this song, is very painful. It's a very a drama because, as you said, you are not talking just for a rider as it is in a horse. No, you are talking about a person who really pains in his own very deep soul uh, the, 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 the woman or the love that he feels about it. So
You know
that's the
what?
reason why. Yeah,
So,
tell me.
yeah, so, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to tell you that I'm not sure how your particular process is for when you are thinking of or start working on a song. But personally, what I do is that I read the score. If I have the partitura, I usually read it. If I don't,
Mhm.
I go to the lyrics, as in this case. And when I start reading, and that's what we are about to do, when I start reading, por la lejana montaña va cabalgando un jinete, vaga solito en el mundo y va deseando la muerte, I tell
It's
myself,
poetry.
oh my
Yeah,
Lord,
it's
how
poetry.
is it that I am going to be able to sing? Well, it is not my case, but if I was to sing El
Yeah,
Jinete, what were
yeah,
the music that I have worked on? Like, how am I going to do that?
yeah,
Because you immediately are, in my case, hit by the tone of emotions because you try to put
Mhm.
yourself in the character that they are portraying. But that is my case. Is it something similar to yours?
I was no, because as a first step, I never read a partiture. I really
Okay.
don't know what it is. Obviously, I know it. I know how you should to do, or yes, I know what is the meaning of the symbols and so on. But I cannot how can I say, not, I cannot do it by as I was, if I was, as I was learning or reading a book. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So why? Because I have never studied in an academy music and nothing at all, nothing about this. But as I already told, my feelings, the emotions that I feel for the music are very deep since I was a kid. So uh, first was the voice, the Jorge Negrete's voice in the first round. Then when I grew up and started to analyze the music and I started to analyze the lyrics, so I think to myself, wow, it's a great song. And then if you put in the scenario that when this song was wrote when he was only just just 16 years old, you're talking about a really masterpiece. For my point of view, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, because at that age, most of us are just thinking about maybe going to school, having
Cars,
our,
schools, girls,
yeah, the first
whatever.
girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
usually the typical life of an adolescent.
that's
But
right.
and now that we are much older, of course, and when I read it, all I can think of is how much is it that you need to have in within yourself to understand and to portray a scene like the one we are about to discuss. But before we jump into details of the lyrics, why don't we play a short part of the music of
Good.
the postcard, which is part of your interpretation yourself. So let's play the first part, and then we
Okay.
start making comments because, of course, you will listen to the sound, and this is a typical sound of what we call the ranchera music.
Por la lejana montaña va cabalgando un jinete, vaga solito en el mundo y va deseando la muerte.
Okay, that's how the song opens, and besides the beautiful sound, how the voice matches the music.
Thank you, Richard.
What what do you feel when you sing a song like this?
Wow.
Because somehow you need to be carried by the emotion, but at the same time you have to control it. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sure if I'm explaining it because you say por la lejana montaña. The intention that you don't do it like shouting. You don't do it with a happy voice. You do it with a voice. What are your thoughts when start working on it? Because I am thinking on how I could do it, but I prefer that you
Yes.
tell us how you did.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Is what you what we were talking about. Since the beginning, the lyrics are shocking because when you are talking about that there's a guy who is alone in this world, and the only thing that he wants is to die, or is to die. um my voice in this moment just felt like he has that has to flow very gently, and you need to be care you need to be care in is when it's kind of difficult to do it, sorry, in English, but um it's like when you are um walking with in a in a desert, for example, but you are doing quietly because you need to be alone. That's the image that came to my brain, but at the same time, um, the voice is connected, and as a magical moment, the voice is flows according to the music, according to the lyrics, and obviously trying uh, to manage this volume and the tone, the pitch, in order to don't feel in something wrong, because you are telling a drama, or you are telling a story that has to be feeling with the people that are hurting you, you know.
And we have in this first part of the song when it says "Iba deseando la muerte." And it is very easy for a singer to be carried by the emotion, by his ego, and keeping the syllable for way too long, or increasing the volume way too loud, or maybe adding an ornament that does not go there. But as in the case of Manuel M. Ponce, that I made the comments there, this song is so fine. This music is so perfectly written that if you exaggerate or overdo,
That's right.
anybody will notice, because you can say "Iba de," and at this time I've already exceeded the duration, right?
Mhm.
And only to show off that I have a good duration of breath, but that's not the intention. So the
Mhm.
singer
Mhm.
needs to understand that you have to keep
That's right.
deseando la muerte. And the way you say la muerte with this
Mhm.
wrap up of the first phrase, because you can also, again, you can exaggerate la muerte, like throwing the word away,
Yeah, yeah,
but that is not the case. For the fine music
exactly,
as this one, you
exactly.
have to be such a perfect interpreter, because I want to insist, if you overdo, you immediately realize. You say, nah, this guy is
Yeah,
exaggerating. And
yeah,
as you're exaggerating, now
yeah,
people don't believe you because you
yeah,
are
exactly.
overdoing things.
People don't believe you. That's right.
Yeah, let's listen to another part, because now there's this drama keeps growing. He's about to share that he's about to explain why is it that he's so alone. What is it this that happened in his life to make him wish that he was dead? So let's listen to that part of the song.
Yep.
Lleva en su pecho una herida, va con su alma destrozada, quisiera perder la vida y reunirse con su amada.
And now the terrible situation has been shared. His loved one, not sure if his just girlfriend, his wife, his fiance,
Yeah,
died.
it's a woman there. Yes.
Yeah, so that's a wound that can never heal. And that wound that can never heal is what brings him to desire to die and to
Hmm.
feel and to be all alone around the world. Last week's, if you're following the postcards in order, not last week's, previous weeks ago, I also shared with you some part of the Greek myth of the two halves that were put apart by Zeus, because the Greek god Zeus is always jealous of humans, and so they are put apart. And the short version of the story is that we have a better half, as it is called in English, nuestra media
Mm-hmm.
naranja in Spanish, this
Mm-hmm.
person that makes us feel complete. And when we are not with that person, we basically feel incomplete. So somehow this is the story that El Jinete is telling, but of course, with a level of genius, because we are barely in the second paragraph, we've already learned about the drama, and of course, accompanied by wonderful music.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to add anything,
No, no,
or
no. I totally agree. Yeah, as you said, it's a picture of the drama, relatively, and no, I totally agree. And that's the way, or that's the way that has to be interpreted, because it's kind of it's a kind of hymno. I don't know how to. I forgot it. It's a
hymn?
kind of
Yeah,
hymn.
hymn.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
like a hymn. That's right. So there are pieces that has to be interpreted just like this, because if there's not like this, as you said, the people will never believe you.
And let's move for the third part, because this poem, this is a song, but this poem is going on and is going to share a little more about how painful this has been for him.
La quería más que a su vida y la perdió para siempre. Por eso lleva una herida, por eso busca la muerte.
And that way of wrapping the last sentence of por eso busca la muerte needs
Mm-hmm.
also to be so precise, because again, if you overdo la muerte or do anything weird, the whole song loses, from my perspective, loses coherence. Because what I perceive, and please correct me if you think differently, I think that this song is so well, so perfectly composed,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
music matches the intention of the singer and the words
That's
uh,
right.
in perfection. You overdo anything in the music, you will realize. You overdo anything when singing, you realize. You
Mm-hmm.
exaggerate in the emotion, you realize.
Yes. Yes.
How hard is that to achieve? Because sometimes people think that he's a good singer, he can sing anything. And
No,
sometimes
no, no.
people are not aware that somehow the singer has to channel himself to put his own resources into how am I going to do this?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sometimes notes are too high, sometimes are no are too low. I also wanted to mention about the vibrato in some of the
Mm-hmm,
words, because the easiest way, for instance, in herida, you can say it with what we call in singing a voice with no vibrato, which is the
mm-hmm,
easiest way to do. The most
mm-hmm,
difficult way is to vibrate it correctly.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's right.
How did you feel in this song? Because besides interpretation, now we're talking a little more about the technical thoughts in your mind of how am I going to do this with my volume? How am I going to do this with my intention? How am I going to vibrate that? What were
I
your
th-
thoughts?
I think the basis before record this piece, uh, you need to be aware, very conscious that what are you going to tell us? What is the story that what you're going to tell about? And obviously, what it's about, if it's a drama or just happiness or is whatever. So when you are talking about with, in this case, El Jinete, for my point of view, that it's a poetry or a little piece of a kind of history of a story told by this told by I've forgotten them, told by un contador de cuentos. Se me olvidó
A storyteller?
a un storyteller. Es something similar. Um, you as a singer, you are in this position. You are the storyteller, but with music, and you need to be very precise with intentions according to the lyrics. Um, so I'm not saying that you need to study deeply, because at the end you also need to flow with, and how do you feel these lyrics, and how do you feel the music. Obviously you need a gift. For my point of view, you need a gift. You need something special in order to receive it, and then to uh, um, transform it to something. Okay, and that's my case. I've just read the lyrics. I've just know that this guapango, it's a kind of guapango, it's a kind of ranchera guapango. That will be the gender in this case. uh, for my point of view, the guapango, el guapango it's a gender, um, very creative, very joyfully. But when we are with guapango, when we are talking a sad story, is it hurts deep inside. I know if you know what I mean, but the wapango is it's gives to the song a different color, a different um, perspective of we are talking about in the lyrics. So according to the wapango, with the music, with the lyrics, and then uh, print into it my voice, because I know that has to be very, how can I say, varonil. I forgot the word in English. Has
Manly,
to
a
be,
manly.
yeah,
Mhm.
a manly. Yes, thank you, Richard. A manly pitch. I know that he is. It is going to be a great interpretation for my point of view, and that's the reason why I did it like this. Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that a particular phrase or a verse or anything in particular that you like out of this song, or you like it completely? Because it happens to us that well, I'm I am talking about my case again, sorry, not sure if it is yours, but in me I can like a piece in the overall, but there is one or two phrases that impress me the most. Is it the same case for you? Is there any particular phrase in here that It speaks
Not a
directly to
particular
you. Mhm.
phrase. Yeah, not a particular phrase as it is, but just to imagine that these lyrics comes from a little child, because that's it is, or that's it was, a little child of 16 years old. I cannot imagine in my head, I cannot feel in how can a little boy could say la quería más que a su vida y la perdió para siempre. Por eso lleva una herida. That's the reason why he has a hurt. Por eso lleva una herida. Por eso busca la muerte. That's the reason why he's looking for that. A boy telling you, a 16 years old telling you this, for my perspective, is another level. That's
Yeah,
in another level.
yeah, very.
You
So
are not
difficult to
thinking
find the words.
when you are 16 years old, you are not thinking in death. You are thinking in life.
Yeah, yeah. You usually see all the future ahead, and he can
Yes.
picture emotions that even for people. Well, it's been the music by Jose Alfredo Jimenez never gets old. It's it's still, and I wanted to make a comment before. It's very common in Mexico. We have, the cantinas, or any place where people like
Yeah.
to, or the bars where people get drunk.
Yeah.
And there is always, and I'm afraid I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that in every borrachera, when people get drunk, at least there is one song by
Ah,
Jose
sure,
Alfredo Jimenez
certainly.
is played. Yeah.
Sure will be. Sure will be. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's for people outside Mexico, for you to share with you, that you understand how much or how deep is the impact of a composer and poet like Jose Alfredo Jimenez, that even many
Yeah.
years after having composed it, it still feels like a new composition and still played everywhere around Mexico
Yeah.
and in other countries.
Yeah. Sure. Certainly. Yeah.
Okay, let's listen to another part of the song as we are.
Con su guitarra cantando, se pasa noches enteras, hombre guitarra llorando a la luz de las estrellas. Después se pierde en la noche, y aunque la noche es muy bella, él va pidiéndole a Dios que se lo lleve con ella.
We are about to reach the final part of the
Yeah.
song. It's very, every time I think of this song and I read the lyrics, I try to picture myself trying to do any of this, singing it, of course. And the first thoughts that came to my mind is how am I going to control the emotions to say que se lo lleve con ella? Because this phrase is very impacting. What he's requesting God is not what most humans do. Please save my mother, help my daughter, or do anything. What he's asking for is to basically help him die.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
That,
Yes.
that, that phrase is so impacting to me. Maybe because in the in the bottom of myself, I'm a very emotional singer. Maybe that's why. But I'm deeply impressed by these lyrics.
Yeah.
And so we are going to wrap up by listening to the final part of the music of the song. But I'm not sure if you would like to add anything, Rafael, to the wonderful experience that has been to record somehow your version of El Jinete.
Just to tell you that, for my perspective, it was a great experience, because it's a great piece. It's a masterpiece. For my point of view, is the most beautiful lyrics that Jose Alfredo Jimenez has wrote. For my point of view, as you said, he has a lot of things, and a lot of poetry, and a lot of inside of in the rancheras, in the genders, there are internal genders in the rancheras music, and he has also another genders inside of the rancheras that has been a huge successful pieces. But for my point of view, because I told you Jose Alfredo Jimenez was 16 and that kind of stuff, and Jorge Negret's voice and so on. That's the reason why is my favorite.
Well, then,
definitively, yeah,
absolutely. Well, then, all that I have left is to thank you, Rafael, for having joined us this time, for sharing your art with us as well. And I hope you, everyone in whatever country in the world you are, anytime you can watch this video, you also appreciate the art both of Jose Alfredo Jimenez by composing the song, and the art of Rafael, who shared his interpretation of this song with us.
Thank you, Richard. It was a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. And we will say goodbye by listening to the final notes of this astonishingly beautiful song.
La quería más que a su vida y la perdió para siempre. Por eso lleva una herida, por eso busca la muerte. Por eso lleva una herida, por eso busca